locked myself in my bedroom all day long. I didn't speak to anyone. I was without emotion and enthusiasm. It's like being in a hole, in a well. You go to bed thinking about one thing and you wake up thinking about the same thing. It's to be in the cinema at noon that one is inside and it's dark without the awareness that it's noon outside and there's light. It's a deep sadness in a complete darkness. I felt like dead in life. I felt in darkness. Hello, friends, sisters, and brothers. God bless you all. These phrases represent the feelings of 5 people going through one of the hardest and most difficult moments of their lives. Whether it was the loss of a loved one, loss of work, or loss of health when receiving a strong medical diagnosis, the truth is that they were falling into the great sadness. These phrases describe the 4th stage of grief, depression. What is depression? This refers to an existential emptiness according to Viktor Frankl. It corresponds to a state of boredom, lack of interest, apathy, in which the person loses the meaning of who they are, what they want, where they are going, and why. Above all, why are they here? In grief, depression occurs when the person begins to understand the certainty of the death of the loved one, faces the irreversibility of death, our father, mother, spouse, child, they won't return. A feeling of emptiness overwhelms us to the point that we imagine it will never end. We think this feeling will last the rest of our days, and the question that will dominate this moment will be, I miss my loved one. Why I have to continue? The predominant feeling will be lost. I have no way out. There's nothing else to do. So, how's depression expressed in grief? Well, first of all, excessive concern for things that don't deserve so much importance. Rumination about the loss. This means we cannot get the hard loss we just suffered out of our minds. We think and think about how he died. Would he suffer a lot? How was I not there? We can tirelessly review our last moments with our loved one. We isolate ourselves from people, including those we love. We can reject the visit of family or friends. We just want to be alone with our pain. We are filled with a feeling of sadness, fear, and uncertainty about the future. What will come next? It should be said that this is a stage marked by a deep and constant crying, intense sadness, and great pain. Simple tasks become difficult for us to carry out. Getting out of the bed each day feels like a really difficult thing to do. The person is usually impatient to the excessive of suffering that's feeling, that he ends up with a physical and mental exhaustion that leads him to sleep long hours. Irritability takes the form of sadness, restlessness, or anxiety and dominates us. Even the smallest insignificant things or events bothers us, and impotence also appears. There's nothing we can do to return that loved one to us. People in this phase of depression due to grief may have ideas of death or self-annulment. However, they typically involve the perception of having failed the deceased. I couldn't visit him. I wasn't in his last moments. I didn't tell him how much I loved him. I couldn't give him a funeral, as is currently happening due to the pandemic. The thoughts of death are related to the deceased and the idea of reuniting with him. Other symptoms that we can experience at a more physiological level can be insomnia, loss of appetite, lack of energy, and weight lost. I want to convey to you, if you are going through a grief, I'm very sorry for your loss. And I hope the following tips may be useful so that you walk through the grief with the care and affection that is required. How can we cope with depression? First of all, you need to understand you're not sick. If you're experiencing any of the above symptoms, don't worry too much. They're not synonyms of mental illness. It's a normal and expected depression. It's an adequate response to this great loss, and it's one of the many necessary steps during this healing process that you're going through. One of the differentiating characteristics between depression due to grief and depression as an illness is that sadness due to bereavement diminishes in intensity over days or weeks. Imagine the waves of the sea that come and go in the same way the great sadness comes and goes. A few days will feel better, almost like we've overcome it, but then Christmas comes and we remind ourselves that person is not here, and we return to depression. Birthdays are also difficult times. Certain celebrations, activities, or memories can cause the great sadness to present itself again. Second tip, try to welcome this company. Accept that the great sadness, whether we like it or not, is going to come, and no matter how painful and uncomfortable it may be, it's necessary to go through it to heal. Don't resist. Don't look for a way out to avoid the unpleasant feelings that it carries. Accept suffering. Number 3, admit, recognize, name, and feel the emotion. Emotions that we resist insist on coming out one way or another. Cry, cry, and cry again if you consider it necessary. Find ways to get rid of that pain caused by the loss of your loved one. You can use a grieving journal and write or draw the thoughts or feelings that come through your head throughout the day. The important thing is that you express what's within you. Tip number 4, look for good emotional support. Try to identify and surround yourself with people who are willing to listen carefully to you. Someone who's trustworthy and with whom you feel comfortable. Someone who makes you feel like he can listen to you talking all the afternoon about the loss you just had. Someone that inspires. Someone that gives you hope, and hope about being able to be well again. And tip number 5, last but not least, seek greater contact with God and create a stronger relationship. This is a great moment to create a stronger relationship with the Lord. Psalm 55 verses 16 to 18 says, "As for me, I will call upon you, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning and at noon I will pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He has redeemed my soul in peace from the battle that was against me." Stay in a continuous prayer and reading of His Word during this difficult moment. The Lord will be your company during the great sadness, and He'll give you that peace that passes all understanding. As a cherry on the cake, I want to share Psalm 107 verse 35. He turns the desert into pools of water and the dry land into springs. Depression can feel like an emotional dryness, aridity of life and the future. We do not believe that suffering will end or that something good will come. But in God, we have hope, and we must trust that a new life awaits us. Gowns mend, and we can grow through pain and in spite of it. Trust the Creator. He shall never permit the righteous to be moved. Believe it or not, depression will end. Even if the moments of despair come, wait patiently for the Lord. He'll brought you up out of a horrible pit and set your feet upon a rock and established your steps. He'll put a new song in your mouth. Just wait patiently on Him. This must be our faith and hope. I hope these tips help you during this process. God bless you all.